In early 1966, Bruce Lee opened a Kung Fu academy in Los Angeles' Chinatown. Jerry Potteet was the second student admitted to the College Street School after Daniel Lee, and was a member of a select group that trained with Bruce Tuesdays and Thursdays in Chinatown and Saturday and Wednesday at Bruce's house. After shunning the limelight for years, Jerry Potteet has emerged to go public with the art of Jeet Kune Do as it existed before the untimely death of its founder during the College Street era.
Hello, I'm Jerry Potteet, and I want to welcome you to this series in Jeet Kune Do. It was my privilege to be one of Bruce Lee's students back in the late 1960s. He was a teacher and a friend to me. In these tapes, I want to pass on the information that was taught to me. I haven't added anything to it, and hopefully I haven't left anything out. Thank you.
Welcome to Jkd Volume 1. In this first section we will cover footwork. In Chinatown, Bruce stressed footwork, 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 and more footwork. Footwork is the foundation of any martial arts. The strongest punches and the fastest kicks are useless unless you have the ability to move your weapons into range of their targets. Balance, simplicity, and economy are the guidelines here. The footwork has to be practiced until you do it unconsciously. The Jkd structure is simple, the least amount of moves to get the job done. The structure is economic, no wide moves or exaggerated motions. Don't telegraph your moves. The longest weapon to the nearest target. Balance in motion. Fitting in footwork. You glide. No wasted motion. This stance is wide. It offers good stability but minimum mobility. The stance on the right is too narrow with the groin open. It has good mobility but minimum stability. The en-garde position is the best of both stances. The raised heel is to push off for speed. The feet are a little wider than shoulder width apart.
At this time, let's demonstrate some of the footwork that we use. This is the clickers that I use to simulate sound so that we get a better reaction from the drill that we're about to do.
The push shuffle is the first footwork that you learn in Jkd. It is a direct forward motion and a direct backward motion. When you first start, go slow to maintain balance. The speed will come when you are comfortable with the movement. To move forward, you push off with the rear leg as you take a step with the front. When moving backward, you push off with the front leg as you take a step to the rear. Lateral footwork is not difficult to learn, but it does take longer than the forward motion. Lateral footwork offers you the advantage to sidestep an attack, yet stay in range to counterattack. Practice this footwork slow and as smooth as possible. Balance in motion is gained through repetition. If you want something bad enough, it takes work, but the results are worth it. With the lateral footwork, when you move to the right foot moves first. When you move to the left foot moves first. When following this method, either foot can be forward. The pendulum is used to close the range to kick quickly, to cover a large distance and then recover so that you are out of range. When practicing this footwork with a low side kick, use it against a stationary target to judge distance. Being too close will knock you off balance. When moving forward, the rear foot comes up to replace the front foot. When moving backward, the front foot moves back to replace the rear foot. My head goes way above the line. When both feet are together, both knees are straight. This takes too much time, and upward motion is wasted forward motion. When the feet are together, both knees are bent, making a more economic, faster movement. The pendulum shin kick can be compared to the jab. The speed that is delivered, the distance that it covers, and it's the longest weapon to the nearest target. This is fitting in footwork drill. It can be taught one-on-one or in front of a class as long as everybody can see you. There are a number of things that are entailed here. First, the basic observation. When I move forward, you move backward. When I move backward, you move forward. When I move to my right, you move to your left. When I move to my left, you move to your right. This is also a visual awareness drill. How quickly can you see my motion and how fast can you compensate? This drill increases your perception and reaction time. Conscious thought is like footwork. It has to be sidestepped to be fluid in this drill. After the basic footwork in this drill becomes comfortable to you, the instructor or person controlling the drill starts the broken rhythm. You can break the rhythm going in any direction. For example, to break the rhythm going back and then forward, the rear leg takes a half step back. The front leg moves to the back leg and then snaps forward again. Pick up a half beat in time. In Jkd, the concepts determine the structure that you use. These are the concepts. No complicated moves. A minimum of moves to deliver a hit. In this sequence, I'm blocking on the first move and hitting on the second. This doesn't work well against the opponent that's throwing a speed jab. When you're blocking, the energy is going across the body, when it should be going towards your opponent. Here I'm trying to hit on the first move. Even if I get hit, I'm trying to hit back, not blocking. No excess motion, whether it's time or distance. In this section, I'm drawing back to hit. It takes too long, and the movement is too wide. I'm telegraphing, telling my opponent what I'm going to do. The front hand strikes from where it is. No preparatory motion. The longest weapon to the nearest target. Bruce Lee's progressive weapons chart shows right lead, front hand, front foot weapons ranges. Isolating the hand as the longest weapon here, my opponent's hand is the nearest target. The graph shows distance between weapon and target. The follow-up attack depends on your imagination, using simplicity and economy of motion. In this sequence, I'm reaching for the target that is too far away. In reality, my opponent is making the correct move, moving away from the punch and using a front shin kick against my lead leg. In this section, the line shows the paths of both punches. The vertical fist stays close to the body on delivery, with the elbow in. It's harder to see by your opponent, so it's closer to the target before your opponent's aware of the motion. With a corkscrew punch, the elbow comes out away from the body, telegraphing the motion, making it easier to see. Another characteristic of the corkscrew punch is the shoulder moves up, another telegraphic motion. In this demonstration, I'm delivering a vertical fist. My opponent is trying to hit the body. The vertical fist structure offers more protection because the elbow is close to the body. With a corkscrew punch, the elbow moves away from the body, offering little protection. The boxing jab uses shoulder and arm strength to hit with, and is limited in reach, and works from a narrow base, feet too close together. The Jkd jab uses shoulder and arm, but most of the power comes from the waist. The reach is also the extension of the waist, and the wider base offers more stability on delivery. In this close-up in slow motion, you can see the power or impact of the boxing jab on the focus glove. vertical fist structure in the Jkd jab has the power and the penetration. The hand is open till the moment of impact.
In developing power and speed, relaxation is so very important. This is one method we use. I make them give me the full arm weight and then slowly increase the tension till there's just enough tension to hold the arm up. And that's all that's necessary, and everything is relaxed.
The Jkd jab is a relaxed motion. At the point of impact, the hand closes and the wrist snaps forward, extending the lower portion of your fist toward the target. The hand starts from under your jaw and comes back in an elliptical path to the same position under your jaw. When the arm is relaxed, this is a natural motion. Speed and power are developed from a relaxed position. The arm is developed physically by repetition and proper exercise. In a conversation with Bruce, I asked him about developing the arms to hit with. He told me he did over 1,000 punches a day. You have to respect someone who was as dedicated to his art as he was.
Right jab. Relax. Relax. All right, you're dropping the jab. Pick it up. Bring it back up on the chin. Relax. 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 Right back up underneath the chin. Relax. Relax. Tense. Relax. Relax. Good. Good.
When Bruce threw a punch, he hit with the whole body. The method used is concurring and overlapping circles. He said you use your imagination and think of a centrifugal force. The first circle starts at the ankle and you start it moving. The next circle is at the knee and you start it moving. The next circle is at the waist and you start it moving. The next circle is at the shoulder and you start it moving. The next circle is at the elbow and you start it moving. The last circle is at the wrist and you start it moving. And the punch is on target before the first circle stops. And the last motion of the wrist is the fastest.
In Jkd, we use the leading hand to hit with. It is superior in structure to the person that uses the rear hand to hit with. So we're right on target, and we're closer to the target with the lead hand. With the rear hand, it takes 1, 2, 3 clicks to hit with, whereas with the lead hand, I'm going 1, 2, 3 clicks to hit with.
In Jeet Kune Do, we emphasize the lead hand, lead leg hitting structure. It's closer to the target, it's faster because of less ground to cover, it's harder to see, less telegraphic motions, and our training methods are aimed at developing maximum power with the front hand and front leg. The footwork is simple and economic. This is the foundation of Jkd. The concepts are in every phase of the art of Jeet Kune Do. When you have the simplicity, economy, and the longest weapon to the nearest target, then you can look at every form or style of martial art. In this collection of movements, the thread that runs through them all is efficiency, being able to get the job done in the least amount of movements with the most economic motion. The kicking in Jkd is basically the same as the hands. That is, the front leg does most of the work. Bruce said that in actual application he would never kick above the waist, yet in his movies his high kicks were spectacular. When I asked him about this, he said, "You lose speed and power the closer you kick to the head. The higher your kick, the longer it takes you to recover. You're vulnerable since you don't have the ability to move until the weight is transferred to the kicking leg." The first kick we teach is the straight kick. Notice that none of the kicks in Jkd are chambered or cocked before delivery. In this sequence, the straight kick is being demonstrated from a stationary position. Here the straight kick is demonstrated with and without footwork, on the focus gloves and the heavy bag. In this section, the target area is the groin. The footwork is a step with a pendulum, which allows you to cover the most ground and get there in the least amount of time. This is where I become the coach or the trainer, feeding you information while you're executing the movement, the kick. For example, too far away, relax, now. Hit the center of the glove, okay, relax, now. Slow it down, get your distance, give me a well-placed kick. We'll pick up the speed as we move along. Relax. From the very beginning, this kick is taught with contact, as we are doing here with a focus glove. Using the focus glove to teach this kick is the ideal condition. With a good partner or coach and with repetition, this brings about the best way to become proficient with this kick. The hook kick in this sequence is shown from a stationary position. The upper body moves back over the supporting leg to allow you good balance to utilize the full range of the kick. The leg is relaxed and the last motion is the quickest. In this sequence, I'm delivering the hook kick to the solar plexus. The footwork again is the step with a pendulum to cover the most ground in the least amount of time. The slap of the gloves together is an audio cue. It creates a faster reaction time to the target that's being presented. The glove holder is the pace setter. In this section, in matched leads, the target areas are inside the knee and the groin. In unmatched leads, the target areas are behind the knee and the sciatic nerve. The side kick is a direct attack, a straight line motion like a jab. The upper body shifts back and turns at the waist and at the hip, adding speed and power to the kick. This was one of Bruce's favorite kicks. It was usually aimed at the body. You could tell by the impact or the pressure at the bottom of the foot as to what kind of impression that you'd left on your opponent. One of the targets is the solar plex area. In this sequence, we show the below-the-waist progressive targets, shin, knee, and groin. All three are used with the pendulum step to deliver the kick the quickest. This is the inverted kick, or reverse hook. In comparing it to the hands, it is delivered like a back fist. It is a good first or surprise move in close kicking range. It works well against an unmatched stance. Bruce loved to demonstrate his flexibility with his kick. He would stand close enough to touch your face with his fist, and then out of nowhere there would be a foot up alongside your head, and then gone just as quickly. In the unmatched stance, the white lines represent some of the targets available for the inverted kick. The oblique kick is very strong. In the correct delivery, the body shifts forward over the supporting leg. The speed of the leg is added to the speed of the body, making the kicking motion the last and the fastest. Following an oblique kick with an oblique kick is fast and effective in keeping your opponent off balance. The oblique is used here to bridge the gap or cover the distance into trapping range. There is a right way of hitting focus gloves, and there are wrong ways of hitting focus gloves. She is now using the vertical fist jab the right way. This incorrect delivery is too close or jammed up. It is a push. This incorrect delivery is too far away. You're reaching for it, losing the snap at the end of the punch. Focus glove. To focus. To make your movement accurate or precise. Repetition with focus. Hitting the target at the right time, the right distance, at the right place. Hitting at the bottom X is incorrect. It is a push. It has no snap. Hitting at the inside X is just getting part of the target. It dissipates or deflects your punch. It is a glancing blow. Hitting the outside X is like the inside. It deflects your energy. It is not focused, not a solid penetrating hit. At the dot or center of the glove is focus. You can feel the explosion. You can feel the penetration. It is a good solid hit. Only through repetition and a good partner or coach can you achieve this focus. Now to take the focus gloves just one step further. A jab to jab drill with simple lateral footwork. The person on the left starts the drill by throwing the first jab. She controls the pace of the drill. The other person has to fire back a jab as fast as possible. An unseen coach is calling out switch, so now the other person controls the pace and switches back and forth, giving the drill an unrhythmic tempo. You have to be a participant and a coach in this drill. You have to think of hitting, and you have to represent a good target to keep the drill running smoothly. The back fist is a curved motion, and the hook's a curved motion. The back fist is a long curve, and the hook's a long curve. To get power in short, you shorten the arc. Back fist shorten the arc, hook shorten the arc. Shorten the arc, shorten the arc. This is a short, crisp motion that allows you to be on target again and again and again. These are two ways that I like to use the back fist. First one's in combination. The back fist cross is demonstrated here on the focus gloves.
The second one is to draw a stem for the trapping.
With a short hook, the arm comes back as fast as it goes out, or faster if possible. It is the change in direction at the moment of contact with the target that gives you the explosion or the snap in your strike. This is a training method we use in utilizing the full potential of the waist and developing the power and the quickness in the hook. Broken rhythm is demonstrated here by establishing a 3-beat rhythm and then changing the time between the beats or strikes. In this series of graphs and demonstration, we're shortening the time, breaking the rhythm up or faster. The half beat is to shorten the time in half between 2 beats, or twice as fast as normal time between 2 beats. The 3 rhythms we will be using in comparison. Even time intervals between the hits. Short time interval between the last 2 hits. Short time interval between the first 2 hits. Now we will show the 3 examples in comparison. Top graph, even intervals between the 3 hits. Middle graph, even interval between the first and second hit, short interval between the second and third hits. Bottom graph, short interval between the first and second hit, even interval between the second and third hits. These are the 4 basic kicks used with the forward leg from the stationary stance. The application of the 4 kicks for the footwork using the focus gloves. The broken rhythm training on the focus gloves. The short arc concept with a hook back fist. The short arc hook on the focus glove. Energy is a difficult subject to write about or to explain. You can watch the moves, but you really have to feel it to begin to understand it. Crossing arms with an opponent is the way we train. We call it a reference point. Naturally, you don't walk up to a foe and cross arms and start to fight. It's just a training method, a place to start. Bruce Lee had a saying that he inserted in this training: to hear is to be lied to see is to be deceived, but to feel is to believe. In this sequence, I'm delivering a back fist on the first move to hit and to draw a response, enabling me to move into trapping range. Forward energy is demonstrated here with a pak sao, or slapping hand. The main forward motion here is the punch. The pak sao is just to clear the way to hit. The pak sao has to collapse the opponent's arms toward him, not down. Lap sao, or grabbing hand, is used against an opposing force to clear the way to hit. The lap sao is a secondary force. The punch is primary. Jet sao, or jerking hand, is used here to clear the way to hit with the same hand. The springing energy is used by your opponent to obstruct the way to deflect the hit. Pak sao, or slapping hand, was the first energy training taught by Bruce in Chinatown. The first time Bruce crossed arms with me, he said, "Okay, pak sao." As I moved to slap his arm, he had turned his back and stepped away from me. My pak sao was left hanging in midair. I felt so bad. I didn't know what I'd done wrong. When he turned back and saw the look on my face, he laughed and told me that I needed a more economic structure, and I telegraphed my move, telling him what I was going to do. The slapping hand must move like you're throwing a punch. It should explode against your opponent's arm, moving it toward his body, so that the punching hand that's nearest the target can slip through and hit its mark. In this demonstration is the most common mistake. I'm using Pak Sao with a downward energy. My opponent takes my downward energy and redirects it against me, striking the temple area with the heel of the hand or with an open hand over the ear, at the same time controlling or trapping my right hand with a Jut Sao. In this sequence, my opponent attacks using a Pak Sao, but making the mistake of using a downward force. Instead of hitting, I grab the hair, enabling me to isolate the target for a series of hits. Again, the Pak Sao has to explode to clear the way. The hit is primary. When moving in with forward energy and your opponent stands his ground or is surprised by your ability to close the distance, you must control or check the forward leg so he can't use the knee or short kick against you. The leg check can be used to break your opponent's balance, making his retreat or mobility awkward and slow, allowing your attack to be successful. It also has a psychological effect. If your opponent is trying to move away from your attack and keep his balance, he's not thinking of how to attack you. In the unmatched stance, or the right to left stance, the lead leg of your opponent still has to be controlled or checked in order to break the balance. This is the safest way in the unmatched trapping range. If you move in front of your opponent's leg, he has the opportunity to break your balance, giving your opponent time to grab and take you down. When you move in, your lead foot has to glide or just barely leave the surface you're standing on. This is an important motion in footwork that requires timing and distance. Footwork is the foundation of every successful move. Again, this is a fitting in process. Bruce emphasized footwork at the beginning of every class. Mobility and quickness were reinforced at every opportunity. If you don't check the leg, you're wide open for a kick. With the leg check, your leg controls your opponent's lead leg. In this sequence, I move into trapping range with an oblique kick and a leg check to hit, trap, and control my opponent. This is a drill using slapping hand punch to slapping hand punch, or pak sao to pak sao. Here the counter or answer to pak sao is pak sao. In this section, I'm the person controlling the drill, breaking the rhythm, so the workout won't become too rhythmic. Front hand barriers, or obstructions, blocks the path to hit. It is a normal reaction, even by an untrained person. When something comes toward you, you instinctively put up an arm to cover your face. In this section, we deal with the front barrier in 3 ways: slapping it out of the way, pak sao; grabbing it out of the way, lap sao; and pak sao that doesn't clear the way. Ping choi, or low hit, goes under the arm and then back up and over to hit. These drills are taught individually and then combined with each other to promote a fitting in response that develops a high level of sensitivity, so that you can't prearrange anything in your mind. The front barrier is the first contact made. The delivery is smooth and crisp and puts you in control. The sensitivity relies on what response or reaction your opponent answers with. Again, repetition, awareness are the guidelines here. This series of moves demonstrate a picture-perfect lap sao, or grabbing hand. It doesn't always work that way. So play with it, but play seriously. In this section, we use pak sao, or slapping hand, to clear the front hand barrier, and our opponent uses a crossing movement to obstruct or block with a rear hand barrier.
Grab.
This crossing movement takes the punching hand across the center of our bodies. We dissolve the right hand and deliver a straight left punch, trapping our opponent's arms crossed together. Dissolving the left punch and lopsawing or grabbing the top arm of our opponent, maintaining the trap to deliver another right punch. Cross grab is still cross energy, but the rear hand grabs instead of blocks, which controls our right punch or lead hand. We go with the force, bringing the grabbing hand down and trapping our opponent's right arm. The left hand punches over our own arm and both of theirs. To control our left punch, the opponent turns loose of our right hand and checks the arm. Going with the force, we let it go back across center and hit with a right back fist. All the basic trapping starts from here. At the beginning, your partner answers should be slow but firm. The contact to the arms tells you where you are and where you're going to go for the next move. This playing is conducive to learning, and repetition is to your benefit in all the trapping. In this section we see where the trapping comes from. Chi Sao. The same moves we just completed can be seen in this two-handed play. When the hits come this easy in Chi Sao, your opponent is making one mistake after another. When doing the two-handed exercise, you can't get too tight or too wide. When your opponent counters your straight right punch with left tan sao or inside block, your right jut sao or jerking hand pulls your opponent's left hand down as your left hand cuts into your opponent's right arm, trapping and hitting, making your opponent's arms cross. So you can trap with your left and hit with your right. The key is to be able to control or trap both of your opponent's arms with one hand or one arm and hit with the other. When trapping at this level of sensitivity, your partner is a pace setter. At the beginning of energy training of any kind, you and your partners have to complement each other. Only after the movements are fully learned does your partner answer your attack randomly. Power is not what we are looking for here. Speed is not what we are looking for here. Sensitivity is the important factor here. This answer to Pak Sao punch is when I try to hit with the right hand, my opponent parries a punch with the left or rear hand, not letting the parry cross the center of our bodies. In the traditional way, I slap or Pak Sao the opponent's left hand so that my right punch can continue to the target. In the Jkd way, I put the extra punch in with the left hand before I slap or Pak Sao my opponent's left hand, letting the right punch continue to the target. I thought it was necessary here to show the difference between the traditional way and the Jkd way. This difference is throughout the trapping. This was one of the insights that Bruce gave to me. There is a hit before and after every trap. Always think of hitting. Trapping is just a byproduct of hitting. If the trap is there, use it. If it is not, just keep on hitting. In other words, when in doubt, hit. Again, in the traditional way, it's trap and hit. In the Jkd way, it's hit, trap, and hit. When putting in the extra hits, a half beat in your timing will make it smoother. The best way to feel a difference is through continuous practice. There can never be enough. In review, the answers, the block, the grab, and the parry are some of the ways your opponent will react to the punch. Awareness, fitting in, and sensitivity are your answers. Cutting in is another way of controlling your opponent, or trapping without grabbing or slapping. For the right punch, my opponent is answering with a left inward block. Before my opponent has a chance to react to the block, I deliver a left punch, cutting into the outside of the blocking arm and hitting to the head. As my left punch retracts, it grabs or lopsaws the arm, keeping it extended, allowing me to cut in with a right punch and hit again. The concept of hitting is demonstrated here. If you just look at what I'm doing, jab, cross, jab, or right, left, right, I'm using attack by combination, and it works whether my opponent is blocking or not. The dummy is one of the best ways to practice cutting in. It offers a lot of resistance and it keeps your structure very economic. It is important to go as hard and as fast as you can. A human partner won't be able to take the abuse. Another example is containing your opponent's arms inside your arms, cutting in and hitting. Riposte is a fencing term, a counterattack. Your opponent attacks, you wait till the hit is committed, and then deflect it at the last moment. The hand or the weapon that's doing the deflecting instantly returns the attack. In this sequence, I deliver a right punch. My opponent delivers a left punch, deflecting my punch off target. I do a jut sao, or jerking hand. My opponent answers with springing energy and then grabs or lopsaws my arm and delivers a back fist. I answer with a riposte with my left hand. In this drill, one partner is feeding or delivering cross energy or blocking. striking the arm first from outside and then from inside. The idea is to fit in with a force or contact, going with it and coming back to hit. Economy of motion is one of the concepts in the drill. After the movement has been acquired, this drill is done with the eyes closed to develop a higher level of sensitivity. The block is delivered inside the arm here to show that you got to be able to move one way or the other on this motion. Then you pick up the pace. Now the block moves to the outside and then into the inside, picking up the pace and not letting your opponent know what you're going to deliver next so that you have a fitting in process. This is a simple move. I jab, my opponent blocks, and I go around and I hit. Bridging is to bridge over or under your opponent's arms, looking for the advantage to control the straight line to the target. When bridging, you also are cutting into your opponent's arms, controlling your opponent as you try to hit. This drill demands well-conditioned arms so that you can take the contact. Economy, no wide motions, simplicity, just think of hitting. Do this drill slowly at the beginning. In matched leads, right to right, and then in unmatched leads, right to left. Use the imagination, consider all the possibilities, then fit in with your partner. This is a drill that makes your movement and your partner's one. In this application, I'm punching outside the arm, and then outside the arm again, then inside the arm, and then inside the arm again, to outside the arm, to outside the arm again. Springing energy, harmonious spring, jutsao, or jerking hand are two drills in one. The person with the inside position is doing the harmonious spring. The person with the outside position is doing the jutsao, or jerking hand. For the person doing the harmonious spring, you have to imagine a coiled spring attached to the back of the upper arm, just above the elbow. The other end of the spring is attached to the rib cage of the body. This is a compression spring, about 6 inches long, the type of spring that has to be pushed against or collapsed so it will push back. In other words, when you pull down or jerk the arm, it collapses the spring under the arm. When you turn the arm loose, it springs up and forward at the same time. The object of the drill is to jump out of the way and try and hit with the same hand. The springing arm is to snap back and close your opponent's line of attack, hitting with the same hand. Bong Sao, or raised elbow deflection drill, is practiced in unmatched stances and starts with a grab, or a lop sao, to the outside of your opponent's wrist. Your opponent doesn't resist the grab and flows with the force, using your energy to raise the elbow, deflecting your punch. This drill usually becomes too rhythmic, so you switch from one unmatched stance to another. The switching can be done by either partner by grabbing the hand that's doing the grabbing. This should be practiced slow at the beginning. It's the proper structure we're looking for here, not the speed. This is another drill that teaches fitting in, going with the force, and making it work for you. In this series, I'm delivering a left straight punch. My opponent answers with a right inward deflection, grabbing my arm and hitting with a back fist. Wampak, or cross-hand slapping drill. This drill is taught facing your partner squarely. Of course, nobody fights like this, but for training purposes, this position offers continuous repetition and emphasizes economy and simplicity. When your opponent delivers a right punch, you slap the hand with your right hand to clear the way for your left punch to come inside your opponent's punch. Your punching arm should bridge inside the punch. This is another drill that can become too rhythmic. To break the rhythm and to switch, punch when it's your turn to slap and punch with the other hand. In this sequence, my opponent delivers a right punch. I slap it to the side, punching with my left and shifting the body to the right, and delivering a right punch to the open target. Lop sao switch, or inside grabbing hand drill. This is a finesse drill. You go with your partner's force. That's an inside grab. You switch your hand under and inside, breaking your opponent's grab. Then it's your turn to grab, so your partner can practice going under and inside. You have to maintain contact throughout the drill. This exercise develops flexibility and sensitivity. Do it slowly and repeatedly. Sensitivity is more important than speed in this drill. this section, I'm throwing a left punch. My opponent answers with a right punch. I grab inside my opponent's right arm. She switches inside using my force to hit, and then hit again with the left hand. I'm doing another inside grab and get hit again. In the free flow, one partner attacks, the other partner creates the front hand barrier, and then the rear hand barrier. This is a drill that relies on sensitivity. The answer that your partner gives is not prearranged, and it uses everything taught earlier: cross energy, cross grab, inside to outside energy, center line energy, pak sao, lap sao, jut sao, bong sao. Bruce Lee was an expert fighter at all ranges, but this is the core of Jeet Kune Do, where the sensitivity and finesse comes from. This is where he shined. SDA, or single direct attack, is any simple movement that takes the direct path to the target. Simple angulated attack is direct or indirect. We are going to examine the direct attack at this time. The finger jab is the long-range hand weapon in Jeet Kune Do. It adds another 2.5 to 3 inches to your reach. This gives you the advantage if your opponent's arms are of equal length and he is trying to hit you with a closed fist. The jab, or lead hand, is a primary hand weapon in Jeet Kune Do. It follows the concept of the longest weapon to the nearest target. At the Chinatown school, the rear hand or cross was not taught until you developed the speed and the power of the jab. Bruce's theory on this was the jab, or the longest direct weapon, does 80% of the work or hitting. The cross, or rear hand, can also be a single direct attack when the opportunity presents itself. It is usually used in ABC, or attack by combination, mainly the second or third move, depending on the practitioner. The vertical fist structure is maintained here with the jab and the cross. The key in delivery here is the waist. This is where the torque and the power comes from. In this application, the finger jab is the equalizer. With speed and precision, it gives you the first hit, the stop hit, the element of surprise, and the time to take advantage of the situation. This is an actual application move that is not used in sparring. When in practice, every precaution should be taken. Safety goggles are a good idea. With the jab, the boxing glove is used to give your partner some protection. If you hold back or don't try to hit, you won't have the proper timing and distance. The jab is worthy of spending a lot of time on. In this stationary position, the direct attack with the front leg uses straight kick and side or back kick, maintaining the concept of the longest weapon to the nearest target. Economy, simplicity, and spontaneity are the factors that make the single direct work. In this application, the actual targets are being attacked using the single direct, the shin kick, the longest range, the groin kick, medium range. In close or hand range, the most effective kick is the oblique. The use of focus gloves to represent the targets are an integrated part of the training. An attack by combination, even at the very beginning when contact is made. The focus gloves are a valuable tool in the progression of effective combinations. The positioning of the targets bring about a higher skill level in ABC. The rhythm is being broken here for the jab, cross, hook. You have to fit in. In attack by combination with the legs only, footwork and timing are controlled by the person positioning the focus gloves. The kicking at this pace gives you a good workout and builds stamina. The kicks being used here are straight, hook, inverted, and side kick, keeping in mind the concept of the longest weapon to the nearest target, using only the front leg. Mobility, footwork, is an essential part of ABC. It is constantly changing, moving in and out of range. The footwork has to be simple and economic. First we demonstrated some of the drills hands only, then we showed only the legs on the focus gloves. Now it's time to put them together. Again, I can't overemphasize the importance of the ability of the person positioning the focus glove to actually represent that target. To actually represent the targets one would encounter in a real situation. In a training session, the person positioning the focus gloves is the trainer or coach. You have to be aware and you have to care. That way the workout is always a benefit. In coaching, remember, the training should proceed slowly until the practitioner is warmed up. Things to watch for in coaching: smooth and simple footwork, economic structure, hands and legs, no wide motions. Don't telegraph. Don't tell your opponent what you're going to do. Placement on the glove is in the center. Short range combinations: back fist, elbow, overhand, and knee. Attack by drawing is the first boxing glove drill we teach. The three basic punches, jab, cross, hook, with the front hand down, is where we start. The person receiving the punches executes parry for the jab, shoulder roll for the cross, and cover for the hook. Each punch and each defense is repeated until you are comfortable with it. For example, parry jab, parry jab, parry jab. Then we move on to the next sequence. This drill is done with half speed, half power. This is important. So many times people get hit hard at the beginning and then they don't want to have anything to do with the glove drills. This is not necessary. This is not fair to the people who need it. These drills build confidence in your ability to handle punches defensively. When properly taught, it is a great step forward. This is the ABD parry drill. In this sequence we are going to trade jabs, and with our newly acquired defense we are going to parry the jab. In the shoulder roll, the rear hand is held just under the chin. This defense against the cross uses the waist to go with the punch coming in. Tuck the chin and slightly raise the shoulder as you turn at the waist. The cover drill is the hardest to get comfortable with because you have to move inside the punch. This drill has to be taught slow. The rear hand, or the right hand in this case, moves from just under the chin to just over the ear. Just as the hand moves back, you turn and bend at the waist, moving in. Repetition is the only way to become proficient at this drill. Now let's put the drills together with one person defense and the other person offense. In this drill, you and your opponent are training jab parry, cross shoulder roll, hook cover with footwork. In this drill, I'm leaving the groin open to draw a step through or rear straight kick. My counter is to attack the leg that's kicking. I'm using his speed and power against him. In this sequence, the progressive indirect attack is set up with two straight kicks. The PIA is a straight kick to take up time and distance. The hook kick goes indirect. The straight kick is not drawn back to deliver the hook kick. This is done without losing the ground that you gained. If you were to chamber or withdraw the straight kick before delivering the hook kick, this would be attack by combination or ABC. The hands are best to demonstrate progressive indirect attack. You set up your opponent with a body punch to draw a downward block or a parry, then redirect the hand to hit the head without drawing the hand back. PIA is designed to make your opponent uncover or open the target you want to hit. Timing, distance, simplicity, economy make progressive indirect work. This is the finesse way. HIA, or hand immobilization attack, is the energy training in Jeet Kune Do. The joined hands is something that has to be taught one-on-one. You have to feel the energy or pressure. This part of the art is so easily misinterpreted. I have to tell you what Bruce told me. It is listening with your arms or your hands. It is very soft yet unyielding. Steel hidden in cotton. In the Chi Sao, he was much more philosophical in his method of training. When he taught, every word was chosen with care. In the first stage of Chi Sao, or energy hand, or sticky hands, as is called sometimes, structure is important. Guard the center line, or the imaginary line that runs down the center of your body. The motion that you see here is relaxed and flowing, not jerky or rigid. If you are too soft, you are easily hit. If you're too hard, you're easily controlled. In this section on Chi Sao, I exaggerate some of the subtle pressures or energies in this joint hands drill and wait for my opponent's reaction or compensation, and then use it against them. There is always something to learn here by everybody. It's just a game to be played, but played seriously. Yin and yang, female and male, soft and hard. Bruce's analogy was opposite ends of the same stick. Dan Chi, or half of Chi Sao. We use this drill to teach structure. The right side is inside, doing Tan Sao, and try to hit, then Bong Sao. The left side is outside, doing Fuk Sao, and then Jut Sao, then trying to punch. Practice over and over until you no longer have to think about it. My opponent overcompensates with downward pressure with the left hand. I use her force and do a tight disengage and hit high. My opponent is too tight, or the hands are too close together. This makes it easy for an inside grab, then a left punch, left lop sao or grabbing hand, and a right back fist. When the structure is wide, you can hit freely with both hands, using SDA or single direct attack. The wide structure is a characteristic of a practitioner that's just started his training. When your opponent is too far away, push slightly but firm, When they react and push back, do an inside lop sao and an outside jut sao as you turn at the waist. You can find all 5 ways of attack in Chi Sao. SDA, single direct attack. ABC, attack by combination. PIA, progressive indirect attack. ABD, attack by drawing. HIA, hand immobilization attack. Let's review the ways of attack. The bamboo pole and paper was the first hitting target introduced by Bruce Lee at the Los Angeles School in Chinatown. It developed straight line hitting, such as jab cross or jab jab cross or any straight line combination. The front hand or jab was developed first. The target was controlled by your partner to represent headshots or body shots, and then moved away from you to instill simple footwork to maintain proper distance in hitting. You could tell by the sound or by the pop as to how well you were hitting. At the end of the hitting session, the floor would be covered with bits and pieces of paper. The arms would be tired and you would be in a full sweat. Bruce made sure that you got a hard workout. He wanted you to be able to hit, and hit some more. In application, the focus glove offers more versatility in hitting. The hanging paper instills fitting in with a target that has random motion and depends on the placement of your punches as how it will move for the next hit. You will find that it will make you wait till you get another clear hit, breaking your rhythm and making you fit in. The hanging paper is best suspended from the ceiling by a small chain and an alligator clip. The clip holds the paper firmly and allows you to replace the paper quickly. This is a very easy target to make, and it allows you to train on your own. This training device was mounted at Bruce's house in Culver City. When I asked him about it, he said that after a while, punching gets boring, so you keep changing from one hitting device to another to maintain your enthusiasm throughout your workout. This target is used for straight line attacks, finger jabs, jabs, and crosses.
Hold it up, giving the target like head high, so it would be like if I were shooting at the head. The jab, same way down here for the cross, propagated for the cross, like I'm shooting to the head. For the hook is again at the head, but it drops to the side. So this is wrong, this is wrong, that's right. If I can here, and correct.
This is like dialogue between an instructor and a student for correction in holding the focus gloves. The focus glove is really the ultimate piece of training equipment. It teaches the ABC drills that include timing, distance, placement, and broken rhythm. Proper structure is demanded from the person hitting the gloves as well as from the person positioning them. Correct delivery and correct recovery can only be accomplished by both people working together. This section demonstrates using the waist and the timing between the waist and the delivery of the punch. In this section, the focus gloves are being held incorrectly. Correction and repetition are necessary to maintain precision. In this drill, the boxing gloves are being used in an ABC combination, striking at the real targets. Kicking the focus gloves instills precision and placement. Again, I can't emphasize too strongly about positioning the gloves so that you can get an accurate target in an intensive workout. The kicks being used here are straight, hook, inverted, and side kick or back kick, using front leg only and simple footwork. In Chinatown, Bruce introduced the concept of the longest weapon to the nearest target. We use the front hand and front foot exclusively for the first few months to develop the power in the weapons nearest the target. Straight, hook, and inverted kicks were usually delivered below the waist. The side or back kick was at the solar plexus. The shin guards offer good protection, so you can go hard and fast with the shin kicks. The shin kick is the primary low weapon in Jeet Kune Do. In this example, I'm using the low kick to bridge the distance between me and my opponent to get into hand or trapping range.
The heavy bag can be used with any standard boxing drill, such as jab, cross hook, or any ABC combination or any foot combination. The heavy bag develops power, while the top and bottom bag develops hand-eye coordination, timing, and distance.
The heavy bag is the most commonly found piece of equipment in the gym, at the school, or in the home. The heavy bag requires a lot of imagination. You can stand and deliver jab, cross, or right, left, and get a good workout and work up a sweat. But what we're interested in here is precision combined with imagination. Bruce Lee emphasized using the heavy bag with hand combinations to develop power in hitting, but once the power was developed, he didn't use it any longer for hand combinations because the practitioner could injure himself with his newly acquired power. When kicking the heavy bag, placement is very important. You can tell by the sound and by the impact on the foot as to how well you're doing. In this exercise, your partner holds the heavy bag so you can work repeatedly on a kick that you need to develop better. The shin kick apparatus is designed to develop low-line kicks that are aimed between the ankle and the knee. This piece of equipment was designed and built by James Lee for Bruce. Bruce's kicks were so fast and powerful he would destroy all the other equipment that came before this one. James Lee, being a welder by trade, put this together with steel so that Bruce could get a workout without tearing something up. Eventually, all of Bruce's equipment had to be modified to withstand the power he developed. In this exercise, it shows that your opponent is in a right or left lead and how to control the lead leg with the stance changes. This piece of apparatus is the top and bottom bag, and it requires a higher skill level to use. Usually we start off with a very simple jab, straight line punch on it. The beginning would be that I pull and hit. This gets you comfortable with the motion, and you don't have to keep it going. And then you pick up the speed and the pace. Bruce Lee introduced this to me back in the late 60s. These are some of the drills. But first, let's start with a simple control. And then we'll get into a complicated structure. The top and bottom bag is another sophisticated piece of equipment, something you can use without a partner. Its versatility comes from being able to control it. It takes a lot of time hitting it and playing with it, and that's what you have to do. Get up and play, but play seriously. That was one of Bruce's favorite lines. Any time he saw that you were tense, whether you were sparring or working on a piece of equipment, these were his words or methods to get you to relax. Play, but play seriously. Before you try any of the drills, learn to control the bag with either hand. The catch or the catch drill is a boxing term, used mainly against the jab. With the top and bottom bag, you have to hit it hard enough to come back and hit you in the face, and then it represents your opponent's jab, and you catch it with the rear hand. You can only appreciate the drill after you've been hit in the face. In this drill, the jab slip, you slip your opponent's jab or cross from side to side, leaving both hands free to hit with. This is one of the finesse moves used to make your opponents miss, so you can take advantage of your opponent's opening. This drill comes from one of the 5 ways of attack, attack by drawing. The skill level improves when you're able to let the bag just graze your face. That way you know exactly where your opponent's punch is, and you haven't overreacted, and your movement is more precise and economic. In this drill, the top skill level is to be able to move to the side and in with your head, which allows the advantage of being harder to hit. In the free flow, you incorporate the catch, the slip, the duck, and the parry drills. The catch and the slip drills have been covered earlier. The duck drill is simply to duck your head so that the bag bounces off the top of your head. When I saw Bruce do this for the first time, I asked him what it was for. His explanation was, when you get caught in the middle of your opponent's punch, it was quicker to duck than to try and move your head back or from side to side. He said it worked well when your opponent was very fast and he throws a jab-cross combination and the cross was a half beat or a quarter beat behind the jab. It was better to take the cross on the top of the head instead of the face, and with any luck your opponent would break his hand. The parry drill is the most common in boxing. It makes you keep your rear hand in an on-guard position. It is incorporated with the slip. It allows you to parry the jab of a faster man and is safer than the slip. The free flow incorporates the imagination, which allows you to hit with both hands and using all the defensive drills at random: catch, slip, duck, and parry. This is the simple catch drill. The top and bottom bag allows you to sharpen your skills without an opponent. All the drills are progressively employed with full contact when we get into the ABD drills with the boxing gloves. This piece of equipment is a wooden dummy, or mukjan, man dummy. I'm using it here at full speed, full power. It's used to develop speed and power at a very close range. To improve your skill in speed, you must maintain an economic structure. In other words, wide motions slow you down. I was first introduced to this piece of equipment by Bruce at James Lee's house in Oakland. When he used it, there was so much speed and power, it sounded like someone was firing a machine gun. This is my invention, and I call it a doorway dummy. It enhances tight structure, training, and hitting and grabbing, representing modified version of Wing Chun dummy or mukjang. These pieces of equipment develop skill in HIA, or trapping, the ability to hit and control at this range. In this section on supplemental training, I'll show you two of the sheets that Bruce put together for me. He believed in building the body for a specific task, fighting with no limitations. The exercises should parallel what you intend the muscles to actually do. For example, to develop a straight punch, the exercise corresponds with the position of the arm in relationship to the body. In fighting, the strength of the body is important, but it is not how strong you are or how much strength you have, but how quickly you can exert that strength. This is a simple isometric exercise with a jump rope that's done in 3 stages to the count of 5. First stage, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. The isometric exercise develops intrinsic strength in hitting. This is a portable, adjustable isometric apparatus that Bruce used to develop forward energy. It adjusts to the user's height and is used in 3 stages with forward, upward energy. Slowly pull out. I developed this piece of equipment to give you full range of motion when punching. You can adjust it to any degree of resistance. The glove allows you to go through the exercise without holding anything in your hands, so there won't be any tension in your forearms, which makes the motion smoother and faster. This piece of equipment is geared to parallel the actual motion you want to develop, punching.
Vertical curls and reverse curls develop forearm and elongate the bicep. You elongate the bicep or lengthen the muscle so it won't slow you down in straight line punching. The weight is padded so you can't close your hand, which makes the exercise harder and develops the muscle quicker. The wrist roller develops the forearms and the shoulders. The exercise is performed fast so that you can use the muscles quickly. Again, the bar is thick so that you can't close your hand completely. This was one of Bruce's favorite exercises for developing the forearms and the grip that he was famous for. He emphasized usable strength. The quicker the better. The forearms play an important role in the art of Jeet Kune Do. The forearm, or the grip, is essential in grabbing, jerking, or dissolving energy. It explodes in a short distance. This is the finesse side of the HIA, or the trapping.